Hey everyone, I'm Faith, and this is the Outmaneuver YouTube channel. Today we are going to go over the top 5 tips when it comes to sequencing actions in Star Wars Unlimited. If you find this video helpful, give us a like and hit that subscribe button. Star Wars Unlimited is a game that is built on the my action, your action, my action structure, which was notably used in Star Wars Destiny. Unlike other TCGs, which have a system which allows one player to do all their actions on their turn before giving their opponent limited chances to respond until it becomes that player's turn. Star Wars Unlimited's system is more dynamic because each player is allowed to do one action and then immediately give their opponent the chance to respond with an action of their own. Proper action sequencing is about ordering your actions in a way in which you are able to get the best value out of your cards and limit the value of opponent's cards. Our number 5 tip for action sequencing is passing. Instead of playing a card, attacking, using your leader, or claiming the initiative, you are able to instead pass as your action and allow your opponent the opportunity to do their action first, which can allow you to respond to what they do. This can be an important move because it can allow you to better interact with what they do with a potentially more effective answer, because you now have new information about your opponent's plan. Passing before playing a card, like Vanquish, can be important because if your opponent then plays a bigger unit than they previously had, you are able to choose to remove the threat which will cause you to lose earlier. If, in your game, your opponent passes the initiative to you, it is important to know that in this game, if you claim the initiative after another player passes, the round ends immediately, unlike in other games. It is for this reason that it's important to prepare for the potential of your opponent getting to end the round before you can do another action if you choose to use the pass action. Our number 4 tip is leveraging your leader. Some leaders have abilities which can be used and can act as pseudo or protected passes, because unlike the normal pass action, these pseudo passes don't give your opponent the chance to claim and end the phase entirely. Doing this leader ability can also be an effective way to get later in the phase and better respond to what your opponent plays on their turn, which hopefully means they will also have less answers to the cards that you play. Most leaders, like Iden for example, are able to use their leader abilities on their non-deployed side, even if it would not result in anything. Iden's ability lets her heal 1 damage from her base if a unit was defeated this phase. She is still able to activate this ability even if none of your opponent's units were defeated. However, she would not heal any damage from the base. While this would not have an immediate effect on the game, it would allow you to do a different action later in the phase. Leaders play an important part in Star Wars Unlimited, and making sure to use them in the proper sequencing can single-handedly win or lose games. It is important, for example, for a player playing Iden to be aware if their opponent, who is also playing blue in their deck, had 4 available resources. This can mean that they are holding on to an answer to remove your leader, like a takedown, which defeats a unit with 5 or less HP. While it is still advisable to almost always deploy your leader on the phase when they are first able to do so, it does not always have to be the first action that you do in that phase. Number 3 is action cheating. Normally an action is limited to only being able to do one thing. You either play a card or attack, claim the initiative, or use your leader ability. However, when you use some cards, they let you do something else when you use them. An example of this is Fleet Lieutenant, because it has an ability that triggers when you play it and allows you also to attack with a unit, giving an additional boost to that unit's attack if they are a rebel. This is considered action cheating because it effectively gave you a second immediate action before your opponent could respond. Though the original action for this move was playing a card, the card also let the player do an attack action with another unit. This can be beneficial to you because it allows you to do something which would normally take 2 actions in one, leaving you with time later on to claim the initiative. Another factor to remember when sequencing is as the active player, you get to make the decision of what happens first when multiple effects happen at the same time. The Darth Vader unit gives us a good example of a card that has multiple things happening at once and allows you as the active player to decide which happens first. Vader has Ambush, which means that when he is played, he may immediately attack another unit. Vader also lets you look at the top 10 cards of your deck and choose one that meets certain requirements and put it into play. Since both the Ambush and Search happen when Vader is played, you get to choose which happens first. Our number 2 tip is claiming the initiative at the proper time. Generally, you'll want to get as much value out of each card that you play, and attacking your opponent's base directly can be an effective way to use most units. There are times, however, when it is better to forego any future attacks or cards that can be played and to simply take the initiative counter. If you have a unit with 1 power, it can also be better to put yourself in the position to do the first action next phase instead of attack with the 1 power unit and allow your opponent the opportunity to go first and make a high impact play. This isn't to say that it is never worth it to attack with a 1 power unit. However, it can lead to more long-term success if you get to have the initiative and do the first action of the phase. Getting to do the first action is also important when you are in check, which is when your opponent has the ability to destroy your base with their first attack next phase. For example, you would be considered in check if your opponent has a 5 power unit on the board exhausted and your base has 4 health remaining. If you are in check and you do not have a way to defeat their unit, which will destroy your base with its next action, you must either destroy their base this turn, or you should claim the initiative and hopefully draw a card which will help you eliminate this threat on the board. Finally, claiming the initiative early can provide extra benefits to your units like Baze, for example. While you have the initiative, Baze gets Sentinel, which can protect your base and other units from being attacked. Baze's ability to help gain Sentinel begins immediately after you claim the initiative, which can catch your opponent off guard if they thought they can get multiple attacks on your base this round. Finally, our number 1 tip for action sequencing is prioritizing impact plays that affect the board. The exact same type of actions done in different orders could have massively different end results. One example of this is defeating your opponent's readied units before they attack. If you can deny your opponent the opportunity to use their units, then you have affected their ability to defeat your base according to their schedule. Another way you can prioritize the impact of your actions is by keeping yourself flexible as long as possible. This is best done by generally attacking with your units before you play cards from your hand, unless the cards have very high upside. When you play a card from your hand that uses all or most of your resources, your opponent can then calculate the finite potential actions you can take on your following actions. The more resources you still have readied, however, makes it more difficult for your opponent to plan around what you will do on your turn. A card like Surprise Strike is a great example of being able to prioritize impactful plays and affect the board because it is able to remove threats with its increased power buff, and it is able to not take too many resources and allows you to play other important cards this turn because it only costs 2 resources. Ordering your actions in the proper sequence is important to accomplishing your goal of defeating your opponent's base and will help you outplay your opponents. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked our comment, please make sure to subscribe. And if you want to learn tips on how to better resource in Star Wars Unlimited, check out our video on the screen now or in the comments section below.